So what is the hope? What's the hope that's coming out of the summit this year?
There's hope all around, Peter. When you contrast it with where we were at the first Bush summit in Dubbo last July, there's a lot more hope generally, and a lot of that's come from the sky with the rain that's broken a lot of the dry. Last year, 99% of the state was drought or drought affected. Now it's down to about 39%, but it's more than that. There's also a lot of infrastructure and capital expenditure that's rolling out in the bush, and COVID has actually perversely given a bit of hope as well, in the sense that there's a lot more people now considering moving to the bush, realising that there's perhaps, if they can work from home, why not work in environments like this? So that's been a positive as well. Having said that, there's also, this is the day we hope, the Daily Telegraph hopes that, I mean, with the lineup we've got today, we've got everyone in the room that you could possibly hope for to get something done to help get the bush going. The sort of things I'm talking about are red and green tape that bog down jobs growth, tax reform. I mean, why would we have, for example, payroll tax that applies equally to the bush? Why don't we make them economic opportunity zones? Those sort of things we want to have discussed today.
Ben, I remember talking to you last year at the first summit, and now, 12 months on, we've got the second summit. What have you noticed, for when you just brought up a very good point that, things are looking a little greener. You've got the green shoots. We've had all the rain. What about the psyche from people that you've spoken to so far? Can you just outline some of the differences in the last 12 months?
Absolutely. Look, last year it was actually quite, it was actually difficult to see just how battered the psyche was across the bush, and it took us coming to Dubbo to really hit that home. And this year, I believe that there's, so far, what I've seen so far from being in Cooma at least, and actually it has to be said, Cooma is still in drought. There's 3.9% of the state that's actually drought declared. Cooma is one of those places, but despite that, there is definitely a more optimistic mood. And, rain is always going to do that. Having said that, the crops haven't been harvested yet. We still need a little bit more rain, and the debts won't be paid off for many years. So there's a bit of a there's a cautious optimism. But I think that a lot of the farmers, a lot of the miners and other industries across New South Wales and Australia will be looking to this Bush Summit for some encouraging news from both the PM, the opposition leader and everyone else that's here, including the Premier and the Deputy Premier.
Yeah, and no doubt borders will be on the agenda too, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a critical issue, and it was good to hear, or will be good to hear, the PM today. He wrote about it in today's Daily Telegraph as well, to be talking about how borders can't be used as political pawns. I'm sort of putting words in his mouth there, but that's essentially what he was saying, is that the idea of our constitution, the idea of our federal system, is that we're Australians first, and our states are subservient to us being Australians. And that seems to have been lost a little bit in the whole debate about the border restrictions.
And there will be a move too. I mean, you just talked about this as well, Ben, a push to get younger people in particular out into regional areas. Do you think that's achievable? I mean, bearing in mind here, often in these metropolitan areas where we are, we forget about how tough people are doing it in those regional areas. But the push to get younger people, is that achievable?
It's achievable, but we need more action. For example, we need to fix things like black spots. We need to make broadband universal across the bush. We need to make, having a telephone call or a text message seamless. We also need to have enough doctors, nurses, cops, so that that they come somewhere near to what we take for granted in the city. When you get those minimum standards up in towns, then you start to see amazing results. You're already seeing it in some towns where there's been perhaps a catalyst industry, like you look at Orange or Mudgee, where there's been very good wine industries, and from that has spawned a broadening of the economies there. And then you do see tree change. So I think it's very possible.